Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, April 5th. My name is Jeff Whipple. I'm a technology lead teacher for Anglophone West School District, and today is Tuesday, so it's Tech20 Tuesday. And as my little uh, calendar just told us. So good afternoon, and welcome to the series. Today we're going to have a look, and I've been getting a lot of requests lately, and I think the other technology leads have as well, especially from resource teachers who are looking at assistive technology and some of the features that are available for, especially for the iPads. A lot of interest continuing in iPads. So I thought we'd take a look today at some of the brief technology features and accessibility features that are available on iOS. So let's go. I was going to actually hook my iPad up to the computer, but my Reflector app isn't working very well, so I've done some screenshots, and we'll make the best of what we can do. So first of all, everything we're going to talk about today, there are no apps involved. So we're not going to look at apps today. We're going to look at the accessibility features that are native on the iOS. So no apps required. These are the things that are built right into the iPad, right out of the box. And the three things, I guess, that we're going to look at really quickly today: text-to-speech, speech-to-text, and something called guided access. So we're going to look at those three things today and quickly walk you through those. So I've done, as I said, a series of screenshots so you can have a look. So let's look at text-to-speech first. So when you open up your iPad, the first thing you're going to see is on your front page, you're going to see a settings app, and it looks kind of like a gearbox. I should have taken a shot of that. But basically, when you click on that, you're going to come in here. You see that you can set it into airplane mode. You can check which Wi-Fi you're on, all those kinds of things, or select a Wi-Fi. And there's one that says General. So underneath the General app, you're going to see, and I'm going to choose a little pen here so that we can so when I click on General, something is going to come up, and it's going to be called accessibility. So when you get to the accessibility app, when you click on that, this page is going to come up. You see still General. We're under the accessibility page, and there's going to be something called speech. So if you click on the speech tab, it's going to bring you to this speech page. Now, underneath speech, some of these in fact, all of these will likely be turned off, but let's talk about each one of them are going to do. So speak selection is going to allow you to get a speak button that will appear when you select text, and we'll talk what that's going to look like specifically in a few minutes. But basically, it's going to allow you to select, or a student to allow them to select a series of text or a piece of text and have the iPad speak it back to them. So that's pretty cool. The speak screen will allow them to swipe down with two fingers at the top of the screen and hear the content of the whole screen. So basically, if they're on a web page, they take two fingers, swipe down, and it gives them the whole page, everything that's on there. Voices allows them to choose different voices. So when they're, for instance, they may be a guy and want to hear a girl's voice, and there may be a girl and want to hear a guy's voice. It really doesn't matter. But they can choose a voice that they find soothing, appropriate, whatever, and easy for them to hear. The speaking rate, you notice here, there's a little turtle, and over here, there's a little rabbit. So you can guess what these are for. Basically, it sets the speed of the speech. So the slower you want it, if they find that the speech is too fast for them, they can slow it down, or if vice versa, just by moving this little slider along. Highlight content. So what that will do is that as the words are individually spoken, it will highlight those words as it goes along. And speak auto text, I have it on here, but I usually have it off. What it does is that if they're actually typing something, so they're in a word processor or they're in notes or whatever, and they type a word that's wrong, it will speak to them suggested auto corrections or auto capitalizations. So if it's missing something or if they misspell something, it will speak back to them. I just kind of find that kind of annoying. So those are the settings that the students need to have. I would suggest for most students, speak selection should be on, and highlight content. The speak screen, I'm not so sure, because then you're going to get a whole pile of stuff that's going to be spoken. It's just going to find all the content on the screen and start to speak it. With speak selection, you can actually identify the pieces that you want to be spoken. So I would say turn on your speech selection and turn on your highlight content so they can see the words as they're being read, being highlighted. So that's inside of your in your settings icon. So you can go in there, go to General, go to Accessibility, and then go to Speech, and you come to this page. Now, when you go to Speech, as you click Voices, you're going to see the different voices, English and Arabic, Chinese, Czech, different languages, but then underneath the different voices, if I click on English, what's going to come out is it's going to give me a bunch of individual voices. So it's easy to choose a voice that you want or to try a different voice, and you can just click on that voice and it will basically pop up, and that will be the voice that your machine defaults to. So if you like an Australian voice, there's some Australian voices in here, English voices from the US, and other options. So students can choose a voice that they like. So to be able to pick a piece of text that they want to go to, you see here I've gone to cbc.ca. I'm just on a web browser, and when I hold down my finger on a piece of text, you notice that it will highlight an individual word. So as I hold down my finger on a piece of text, it highlights this individual word, Tampa. Now, this is a story about Tampa Bay's Lightning captain Steven Stamkos and his recent surgery. Now, you notice that up here it gives me the option of copy, define, or share, because I've only got a single word selected. But if I hold my finger over this point, this little tab at the end of Tampa, then I can pull and drag it to make it the whole text. So I can do that with my fingers, just like I would with a cursor. So I highlight Tampa just by holding down my finger, the word highlights, and then I just simply pull the tabs to highlight everything else. And so now, when this piece of text is highlighted, you notice that we have two options, and one of them is speak. And at this point, all I need to do is click on the speak option, and the iPad will actually speak back that piece of text back to the student. So the speech or the text-to-speech feature is really simple. As I said, it's native. It's already embedded inside your program. You don't need any special software or applications to be able to make that work. And you can choose speed and all those kinds of things just by playing around. And there's excuse me, there's other things you can do, and you and your students can play and figure those things out as you need to be. You also notice that when you start to speak, you now also have a pause option. So if you've chosen a long piece and the student wants to stop it, they can actually just pause it and restart it again. So if you hit pause, it will come up with start. That is the speech-to-text option that's inside all iPads, or all newer iPads. If you've got some old ones, they probably won't work the same. But if you've got a fairly new one, it should have the speech-to-text, or the text-to-speech already native in it. So now that we've got text-to-speech, let's talk a little bit about speech-to-text. So inside speech-to-text, the easiest way to do speech-to-text on your iPad, now some people use Dragon Dictation and some other apps, and those are all fine. They all work. But there's a really easy way for you to be using speech-to-text in your iPad. And you'll notice here that one of the native apps that's on an iPad is called Notes. And so when I open up Notes, I'm going to get a new note that's going to pop up, and I can add a new one simply by clicking on Write. That'll add a new note, and it will open up a new tab for me. So all your notes tabs are over here, and your notes are inside. So when I open up a new note by clicking on this little icon, the right icon, then what's going to happen is that my keyboard is going to pop up because I need to start typing, so I need a keyboard. But one of the things you're going to see is a little microphone icon down here in the corner. That microphone icon, strangely enough, means it's going to turn a microphone on. And so if you click on that, you will start to see words being typed on the page as you say them. Now, it's fairly accurate. It's fairly sensitive. So as you say the words, it will actually continue on and just type that. So I just simply said, my name is Jeff, and I like to play sports. And so that actually came out of there in the way that you see it. So it's a very easy way. You can then copy and paste out of this into a word processor. You can copy and paste out of this into an email, anything else you'd like to do. Now, of course, we know that there are some issues and some challenges with sharing content on your iPads with teachers, and hopefully we'll have some solutions to that in the next little while. But the easiest thing to do is if a student does something like this and they want to share it with you and you need to get a copy of it, they can simply open up an email on the browser and copy and paste that text into the body of an email and share it either with themselves or with you. And that's the easiest way to do it right now. So that is text-to-speech and speech-to-text. Now, one of the other things that I've learned recently, and you never stop learning, is that there's a really cool way on some websites to be able to remove all the clutter. So, and that's all I call it. I'm sure there's a cool name for it, but we'll just call it removing the clutter. So this same Stephen Stamkos story that came out on CBC, it was on there this afternoon when I did the screenshot, or this morning, I guess, at 10:31 a.m. So this is the story on Stephen Stamkos. So basically what's going on here is that students get to see all kinds of clutter around them. There's lots of tabs, there's lots of clicks, there's lots of ads, and all of those kinds of things. But on some websites, and you'll know the ones that it applies to, you can teach your students that if all they want to see is just the story, sometimes they'll see this little icon right here at the top of the URL web bar. And so right in here in the address bar, they can, if they see this tells them that they can remove or just see the reading view, a reading pane, just with the story in it. If they click on this, what comes out is this. So it takes away all of the ads around it. It takes away all of the other stuff. And you'll notice that this is now highlighted. So if you want to go back to the other view, you just simply click on it again. But it allows students who struggle with being, and adults who struggle with being distracted by content all around them and around the story and figure out what it is, then it allows them to simplify the story. It also allows for easier identification of the text if they want to use text-to-speech. So they can highlight this text a lot easier than they could maybe back in the story itself. So one more thing I wanted to show you today before we move on, and that's guided access. So a lot of teachers and students, a lot of teachers especially, when they hand over an iPad to a student, sometimes they wonder exactly what the student's doing with it as they sit quietly in the back corner. Well, there is a way that you can limit the student's accessibility to a particular app. And so you can hand them an iPad that's already set up and limit them to one app so they can't close the app and go on to some silly game. So this is called guided access. So we do it in the same way. We go to our settings, we go to general, we go to accessibility, and then we move on. Down at the bottom of the accessibility, so up here, up above this, we saw all of the text and speech and all that kind of stuff. But at the very, very bottom, you'll notice that there's one that says guided access. And right now I have it turned on, and when I go to the next page, you'll see that basically I turn on the guided access. Most of the time it's not on. So and you can turn on passcode settings and time limits. And so basically how it works is that, and there's a really good explanation in here. To start guided access, triple click on the home button when you have the app on that you want the student to use. So as I come here, so I've got this app open. It's Telegami. It could be any app that you might have on your iPad. And you triple click on the home button. And the home button on your iPad, just so you know, I took a picture of it, is this button. That's your home button, in case you haven't heard it referred to a home button before. So as I open up my, so I have this opened up, Telegami's on my iPad. I have it opened, and then all I do is triple click this. And by triple click, you have to do it really quick. It means really, really quick. And then what it does, it brings Telegami, it just backs it off a little bit, and then you have some options. You can put a time limit on it. So you can say for the next 15 minutes, this app will stay on. You can also, when you start it, so here's the start button, it will ask you for a four-digit code. And that four-digit code can be any code you want to make on it. So it could be, 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be the last four digits of your phone number. It could be whatever you want it to be. But something that the student might not know. The only way you can get out of the app is to know the release code, the four-digit code that you put in. It's kind of like one of those safes that you get in hotel rooms. So you put the four-digit code in yourself, and it's the only way to get out of an app. So the student or yourself will need to know the code to get out of the app. And as I said, you can also put a time limit on it. Once it's started, it doesn't matter how many times that student pushes the home button. All it's going to ask for is the code. And so if you want students to be on a particular app, maybe it's a math app, maybe it's a literacy app, whatever it happens to be, and you don't want them wandering off to look at websites or to play other apps that might not be appropriate at that particular set in time, you can use this feature. So it's called guided access. And so it's a feature that you can definitely turn on through the accessibility features, and that way you can hold a student onto one site. So we've looked at text-to-speech, we've looked at speech-to-text, we've looked at getting rid of all that clutter around websites, and we've just looked at guided access. So those are kind of 4 quick little things that are already built into every iPad that you're able to use with your students right away. Just some quick little assistive tech ideas for students, especially those who have learning disabilities, but some of these can be used basically for any individual who wants to be able to use them. So that is Tech20 Tuesday. When you look at some Mac and iOS platforms and you're looking for accessibilities, I'd like to hear some of your ideas and questions about maybe how you're using them. And so you can send those along to us. This is my address right here. But if you're looking for help and maybe you're not in Fredericton, because as you can see, my area is Fredericton North, so I go all the way from Doketown to Millville, all the way into the inner city, or the city schools on the north side. But there are other people out there just like me. So the ASDW Technology Lead Team, Waylon Dixon, is up in Woodstock, so Waylon travels all the way from, I guess, Nakawik to Edmundston. FEC South, so Carme Desjardins, covers everywhere from the city out towards Harvey and Macadam, and up as far as Nakawik. And down in Romarcto, our good friends Janice and Wendy are down there, and they would love to help you out as well. Just so you know, all the sessions are archived. We record them, and we put them up on a website. It's tech20tuesday.wikispaces.com. So if you missed a session over the last little while, or you want to go back and review some of the sessions that maybe you've seen, just so you have them, you're more than welcome, and we'd invite you to go there and use those sessions. So that is Tech 20 Tuesday for today. I will be here for a minute, and if you have any questions, you can put them in, and I'll be answering some questions right on the tech or on the conversation panel here in a second. That is Tech 20 Tuesday. We'll see you all next week.